In this video, we're going to talk about factoring trinomials, but using the box method. So this is for people who multiply binomials using this organizational strategy. So we know that if I'm going to take a quadratic trinomial, it'll always factor into two binomials. That's a structure we know to always be true. Well, to figure out these two binomials, we can use the box. We know that ax squared is always what we get when we multiply our x's together. Our c is always our constant, and that these two corners of our box always add up to be bx. Okay? So knowing this, we can kind of work backwards and figure out what things did I multiply to get my box or my trinomial, and then figure out those two binomials. So let's look at an example. So we have the trinomial 12x squared minus 8x minus 32. The first thing we should always do in factoring, always, is to see if there's a GCF, which, if I look at 12, 8, and 32, there is. I have a GCF of 4, so I'm going to go ahead and factor that out first. So we have 4 times 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. Now we're going to take our new quadratic trinomial, and we're going to go ahead and set it up in our box. So we know the first box is always your A, the last guy is your C, and that these two corners will combine, or should combine, to be negative 2x. That's what we're looking for. So to figure out what goes in here, we need to kind of come up with the factor pairs of A and C. So things that could multiply to be 3x squared are 3x and x. Things that can multiply to be negative 8. When we know it's negative, so one of our signs is positive, one is negative. And we could either have an 8 and a 1 or a 2 and a 4. And so we're going to go ahead and just start by guessing. So since there's only one option for 3x squared, I'm going to go ahead and put those on here, 3x and x. But now we got to figure out what goes here. So we just kind of start by taking a wild stab at it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 8 and 1. So I'm going to put a positive 8 here and a negative 8 here. Well, when I multiply these, 8 times x is 8x, 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. That combines to be a negative 5x. I'm sorry, a 5x, but I wanted a negative 2x, so I know that this isn't right. So I'm going to erase it. I'm going to go ahead and switch them and see if that works for me. Put the 8 here and the 1 here. Okay, we get 1x, negative 24x. Well, that combines to be negative 23, so that doesn't work. So because I tried both 8 and 1 and it didn't work, that option's out. I crossed it off my guess and checklist. So now I'm going to go ahead and try 2 and 4. Okay, I'm going to put the 2 here, a minus 4 here. So we get negative 12x, positive 2x. That combines to be negative 10, so darn, still not right, so I'm going to switch them. 4 there, negative 2 here. And again, our signs don't really matter right now as long as you have one of each, because we can fix that later. So we get 4 times x is 4x, 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. Oh, wait a minute, that does combine to be negative 2x, which is exactly what I wanted. So once I figure that out, I know that this is one of my binomials, and this guy is the other. Now we can actually take this and multiply it out to check using either the box method or distribution. But when we do, we see that it'll get us back to this. But we still need our GCF of 4 in front that we took out in the very beginning. So this would be the final factored form of our trinomial. And we can check by saying, hey, there's nothing left in here that's in common, nothing left in here that's in common. And that's how you factor using the box method.